Hey everyone, and welcome to this special AIM webinar on VerifyReg, a new data integrity tool. Today we'll be going over a bit what VerifyReg is and doing a demonstration as well answering your questions. Today I'm excited to introduce our speakers for today's webinar, Diana Bowser, the program manager of VerifyReg, and Scott Austin, a project lead on VerifyReg. Diana Bowser will get us started. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you for joining, everybody. Okay, we're going to start talking a little bit about what AIM is for the ones not familiar with AIM. We are a global alliance that represents over 300 organizations worldwide involved in barcoding, RFID, and other asset tracking technologies. AIM's work is crucial for facilitating adoption and growth of automatic data capture technologies in various enterprises worldwide. We serve as an unbiased industry alliance supporting organizations utilizing, implementing, reselling, or developing these technologies. Okay, a little introduction to the initiative. With AIM's experience, we developed VerifyReg as a data integrity tool to aid compliance with the US FDA's Drug Supply Chain Security Act. VerifyReg serves to authenticate the structure of codes on pharmaceuticals, ensuring adherence to mandated data markers and confidence in maintaining data integrity throughout the supply chain. AIM's experience providing unbiased information, educational resources, and setting standards positioned us to have the right people in place to create VerifyReg and support regulatory compliance within the pharmaceutical supply chain.
Thanks, Dana. And I think it's really important to highlight that AIM is an independent body of industry, has been there now for 50 years. We celebrate our 50th year this year. And through that time, we've often sat in the background working with industry on standards globally for various data capture identifiers, from the basic barcode through to QR codes and RFID. So from that perspective, we felt that we were in a strong position to support this initiative by the Food and Drug Administration to ensure that the quality of data out there in the supply chain is indeed supporting their initiative of transparency and trusted supply chains. I think if we look at the learnings from COVID, this was a survey that was conducted by Ernst & Young after COVID 2022. And what they saw from industry participants was really the focus is on increased efficiency, in retaining skilled workforce, of course, and increased visibility of products in the supply chain. We all heard the stories through COVID about the optimization of supply chains because we felt it when supply chains were broken. Subsequently, this program by the FDA is really aiming to optimize that visibility in the event of a selective recall, for example, of any pharmaceuticals. So what we hope to do is bring a greater level of quality of the data markers used out in the marketplace, so that transparency and trust that we have in the supply chain mechanisms is not broken. And our independence as an industry body enables us to do that. So we're maybe stepping out of the shadows a little bit more, and VerifyReg is a name that you'll hear a lot more, we hope, over the years, not just in the pharmaceutical industry, but as this trust and transparency progresses outside of pharmaceutical. We go to the next slide, please, Mike. What we can see here, though, is that this initiative by the Food and Drug Administration is not is not as a result of COVID. It has been in place and a long-term objective and program that the DSCSA implementation has been focused since 2015. We are really starting to see that this actually could be a world leader in programs as we hear more and more of product passport is a terminology being used for circular supply chains and responsible manufacturing, indeed very much driven by some of the European Union standards being put into place. The DSCSA has the ability through this program to actually be a leader in trust and transparency of the supply chain for drugs, pharmaceuticals in this country. So that's a really exciting piece. And as we go to the next slide, we will also say, okay, why are they doing this? And the idea of goals is obviously to have an interoperable electronic tracing of products at the package level by 2023. Now that has been slightly delayed, which we'll cover in a minute, and establish national standards for licensure of wholesale and distributors and third-party logistics providers in the pharmaceutical area, with key requirements being product tracing, verification, product identifier, and with authorized trading partners within the structure of the pharmaceutical supply chain. So from that perspective, you can really see that the goals have been well established and that industry has been working towards this over a period of time. If we go to the next slide, what does that look like? It really starts to look like a complicated label, but it's quite organized, quite well structured. You can see the various types of product identifiers. So the national drug code needs to be an element of every label. The serial number, the lot number, and the expiration date are all covered as well. And then manufacturers and participants are required to have human and machine readable formats, such as a 2D data matrix for packages and a linear or 2D, a linear barcode, which is generally used in retail environment. So we have seen industry starting to lean towards the GS1 standard of GTIN for much of that data structuring around the QR code, because it enables a level of interoperability across the supply chain. It's not necessarily mandated. There are other form factors that can be used, but I think industry is pretty much settling on that standard to be used as the interoperable data structure for labels across the supply chain. If we then go to the next slide, we can see that the FDA want to have the ability to come in at any time and have a look at a participant's data structure to see where that product is, where has it gone. And from that perspective, we're seeing that industry is coming together and looking at some industry models that are centralized, where data is shared across industry, and indeed that data is available to FDA and participants at any one time to be able to support that transparency. We are also seeing other companies not participate in that and have their own structures that would be controlled by them and proprietary, but then also provide the same information. So from that perspective, it's quite exciting to see these initiatives starting to happen. And we originally wanted to have, or industry was supposed to have in place by the end of November this year, that full transparency. FDA has extended that for 1 year. So industry has 1 year to be able to have this transparency platform in place to support that traceability and trust of supply chain. If we go into the next slide, we can see what VerifyReg is starting to look like. It's really providing that enhanced product tracing, the coordination of data across the label, and as I said, 2024 November is the date that industry needs to be ready. We're seeing some really interesting initiatives happening with industry, particularly around the open credentialing initiative, which is starting to provide using Web3 tool sets for the internet, basic traceability functionality and standards, so that companies, if they want to, can jump on board and adopt this decentralized model of traceability that I mentioned before. And that's an exciting initiative. And indeed, if it is successful as an initiative, will mean it's one of the leading world initiatives when it comes to ability to have interoperability and data sharing across these important traceability data for market. The next slide starts looking at VerifyReg. We approach this from the point of view of what can AIM do to support market, what is our best role in supporting data quality out there. So the barcodes, the QR codes, everything works. And that'll eventually lead into NFC and RFID, which we're seeing gradually being adopted by industry players as well. So VerifyReg was formed. It's a simple website that enables anyone in the supply chain to participate, submit data for verification, and then we'll go into the process a little bit more about how that works. But it all starts with a simple login to the website. If we take it to the next slide, we can see, okay, who and why. So we're trying to get increased accuracy and efficiency. We're trying to build greater trust across the supply chain. We are wanting quality data out there. So when someone wants to read a QR code or read a barcode, it's doing and pointing to where it was supposed to point to in accordance with the standards, and also then enable faster decision-making. So that doesn't necessarily just need to align with the FDA requirements. It can be, this data can be utilized internally as well, so that manufacturers' supply chains become more efficient through the quality of that data that is out there. The next slide will say, okay, well, who's who in the zoo? So really from, if we look at the whole supply chain, we need to ensure that wherever the labeling is being applied, the correct standards are being adhered to, and that all of the participants in the supply chain are able to accurately read the data and provide that data intelligence for their supply chain management, whether that is for an industry basis or whether that is across their own organization. The next slide, the benefits of that, once again, it really brings beneficial efficiencies to the entire supply chain, and companies can choose how much they want to use that data to optimize their performance and their own transparency of what's happening on a day-to-day basis with their inventory. So how does it work? It's very simple. It's a process orientation. Requester goes to VerifyReg to register and submit their label. It's uploaded from some key data that we take, and then they send in a physical sample to AIM. Our competent staff in the United States are there to support and verify the data that's on those labels. And once all that data complies, we issue the VerifyReg tick or check mark, and subsequently that is able to be displayed and used by authorized, verified manufacturers and products. I think we've got a demo here as well, just to show you what that experience will look like once you go in and start uploading data.
Okay. Mike, are you able to start it? There we go. Okay, what you need to do to get started to get your products verified. The website is verifyreg.org. On this page, you'll see a lot of information at the top, how it works, the price, facts, about. If you are a returning customer, your information should be already in the top right-hand box. If not, you need to go to register. On this page, it's pretty self-explanatory, the information that we're collecting. You set up your username and passcode. Then once you're set up, you go to login. And then get verified. Click on the Get Verified button on the left. These are some instructions that you'll see, then that you can get started. Add to cart. At this point, all you need is your NDC package code. It will search the database and bring up the product that you entered. Just make sure that everything's correct, and then you can upload a copy of the label on the product. This brings you to the total page. If you have more than one product, you can hit the continue button at the bottom. Or if you're just doing one product at a time, just go to the checkout. You'll need to add your delivery and billing address unless you're a returning customer, where it will already be listed at the bottom. Click on the AIM terms and conditions. Read through that and verify that you agree. The promo code is for AIM members, which would have to contact the AIM VerifyReg office to get your promo code, and then you can confirm the order. And this is the payment, where you process your payment. I want to mention the pricing for AIM members. There is a discount. It's $189 versus the $249 for non-members. It is a yearly subscription. So once you are verified, you'll receive a notice that your subscription is up about 60 days before it's due. And then I just want to mention also that once we receive your actual label that you do have to send us without the drug included, you'll be notified within 3 business days whether the product label qualifies for the VerifyReg designation. I believe, that's all I need to say right now. Like I said, a lot of information is on the website, but at this time, if anybody has any questions, we're open, or comments.
So Diana,
thank you, Scott and Diana. Scott, you had something to say?
I was just going to say, so Diana, from an internal perspective, when you obviously receive a notification on that someone's applied, and that enables you to start the process, but when that physical sample arrives at the office, what do you guys do then?
Okay, we were trained by industry experts and have the equipment to verify the barcode and the 2D codes that are on the actual product. And then once that is done and everything is verified, you'll receive a certificate.
Great. So the staff is fully equipped and ready to handle the rush.
Great. And again, if there's any questions for the attendees here, you can use the Q&A option at the bottom of the application screen to submit any questions you have potentially for us. One question, Scott, that we have is, what other applications could potentially VerifyReg go into outside of the drug supply chain?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question, and we've started with the pharmaceutical supply chain, and that was in part that was driven by this requirement for the DSCSA. But if we look at other verticals, like, for example, the food industry, selective recall in the food industry is always an issue. And that trust and transparency of supply chain is just as important in many ways. I think one of the best examples used for that is the outbreak in Europe of mad cow's disease back in the 80s, which, of course, Mike, you were too young to remember. But when it happened, it basically meant that the whole livestock industry in the United Kingdom was destroyed. And there was no selective recall. It was basically get rid of everything, start again. So everything off the shelves, livestock were buried. It was a huge cost to the economy, a huge cost personally to the farmers that were out there and the supply chain participants who make a living from selling food. So I think the natural progression is to go from here into food, and then from there, there are many other areas in industry that we can indeed support through quality data and validating the quality of the data that's out in the marketplace. We so often see situations where labels are not readable. The printing has failed. The quality of the print, indeed the actual data of the barcode or the QR code or the 2D data matrix used on the product are actually useless. So I think that's what we're trying to do here, and that can apply to any vertical, is ensure that the quality of that data is there and it is optimizing its performance for all members of the supply chain. So let's start with pharmaceutical.
Great, thanks, Scott. And so I'm not sure which one of you wants to answer this, but how long does a verification last if we do issue a VerifyReg certificate to someone?
It's a yearly subscription. So every year you'd have to resubmit your barcode to us. You'd get a notice about 60 days before it expires.
And then Diana, you had said it's 3 days, correct?
Once we receive the actual packaging, 3 days after that, you will receive the notification whether or not you are VerifyReg compliance.
This time it looks like that are all the questions we have. I can give another minute to see if any other questions pop up here if someone's trying to type those in. Okay. Well, if any other questions do pop up from anyone here attending today, we do have Diana Bowser, our VerifyReg program manager's contact information, as well as the AIM contact information. So please reach out to us. We can schedule another call to talk about things again in depth. And again, we will have a recording of this available to all participants who registered to today's webinar. Diana and Scott, I want to thank you both again for your time and your insights here today. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Dan. And again, I'd like to thank the audience for their active participation. Thanks, everyone, and looking forward to seeing how VerifyReg grows here.